On September 3rd, Thailand reported that a prisoner tested positive for COVID-19 7 days after he was sentenced on drug charges. Without any travel history, his case has been classified as locally acquired community transmission. This is big news because up to that point, Thailand had gone 100 days without any local transmission. The government had even put out this video promoting its success. And they really spared no expense in producing the video. If this is true, it seems that Thailand is merely the latest country to fall from grace after crossing this auspicious milestone. This is the 100-day curse, how the coronavirus seems to re-emerge in countries after 100 days without detection. I'll show you 4 countries that have experienced this and offer some ideas of why this might be. So Thailand's experience is not unique. The first country to have an outbreak emerge after 100 days without local transmission was Vietnam. On July 25th, a 57-year-old man in the coastal city of Danang turned up sick in the hospital. His positive test result for COVID-19 came as a shock to the country. "We were already back to normal life," one person remarked. But by the end of July, Danang was the epicenter of a new coronavirus outbreak, with cases connected to Danang found in several cities across Vietnam. Cases suddenly surged and at least 35 people died, this in a country that hadn't recorded a single death up to that point. Following Vietnam's fall from grace, Taiwan became the global leader in longest streak without local COVID transmission. Only a few days after the Danang outbreak, cracks appeared in Taiwan. In late July and early August, suspicious cases were reported, such as a Belgian engineer who had worked in Taiwan for 2 months before his diagnosis, and a Thai worker who tested positive while in quarantine after returning home. They weren't able to trace the origins. Officially, the investigations concluded that the Belgian engineer and other cases were not acquired in Taiwan, being explained as remnant virus shedding from an infection acquired abroad. In any case, the suspicious cases with unknown origins turned up almost exactly as Taiwan crossed the threshold for 100 days without domestic cases. With Taiwan's streak in question, the global leader became New Zealand. By August 10th, news reports were celebrating the island nation's 100-day streak. Incredibly, just 2 days later, the country's biggest city, Auckland, found 4 cases in a household where no one had traveled outside New Zealand. The entire city was quickly put under lockdown. Within 2 weeks, nearly 200 more cases were identified. Vietnam, New Zealand, and Taiwan were all able to bring these outbreaks under control using the same strategies that got them virus-free streaks to begin with: rapid testing, contact tracing, and isolation of high-risk exposures. But nevertheless, it left only one country continuing its streak without community transmission of the virus. And so, on September 3rd, Thailand joined the 100-day club. And like clockwork, the curse struck. On exactly the 100th day, the news about the prisoner's positive test result was announced. He had been arrested on August 26th for drug charges in Bangkok, and while in custody began showing symptoms consistent with COVID. His first test returned positive for coronavirus. The question is whether the prisoner's case is a harbinger of an unseen outbreak, like in Vietnam, or an unexplainable phenomenon, like in Taiwan. As of September 5th, it looks like Thailand's situation is more like the experience of Taiwan, as so far no other contacts have tested positive. But the experience of these 4 countries raises the question: why is 100 days a cursed milestone? Or is it just a coincidence? Here are some possible explanations. One common denominator among these countries is that they all had tightly closed borders for months, but as they maintained streaks without local cases, they began to allow select groups of people into their countries. One explanation of the 100-day curse may be that the virus inevitably came along with these arrivals, despite the strict disease control precautions in all 4 countries. Another factor is that with the virus largely under control, the public began to relax. Mask wearing, social distancing, and other measures became lax as the citizens returned to normal life and began traveling more. Finally, some experts suspect that silent community transmission was occurring throughout the period and had simply gone undetected. We may never truly know the reason, and it's likely that a complex set of circumstances unique to each country resulted in the new clusters. We should also note that these long streaks should be celebrated. While the streaks weren't able to surpass 100 days, it's still commendable to achieve even 1 day without community transmission. I should also point out that many small island nations in the Pacific, such as Palau and Vanuatu, never saw any cases at all. So what's the takeaway? I think it's unrealistic for any country to expect to remain virus-free forever, and that while the virus rages globally, we can't let our guards down. Masks and proactive testing must remain. And perhaps, to be a little superstitious, we need to stop publicizing when we reach 100 days. Have I missed any countries with 100-day streaks? Leave your comments below. Be sure to subscribe, like, and thanks for watching.